There's Adam. I see him. And there's Karan. Good.
Okay, good deal. That's all the other people have. Hey, thanks everyone for joining. We're gonna get started here momentarily.
Mark, they said they need you to turn on their cameras and mics so they can be on.
Right?
Right now, it's not allowing them to.
Okay, let me do this. Allow mic. And allow camera. Okay. Run. Allow. I thought I had allowed that for everyone. Tell Adam to try to turn his on now. Okay. He should be able to turn them on now.
Okay, he said not working, but maybe it is now.
Yeah, I went to each of their Quran.
It says only select participants can share video, is what he just said.
Oh shoot. Okay, hold on. Who said that? Quran? Is he the one that's
Adam.
sharing? Adam's gonna be sharing. Okay. Let me go ahead and
I think Karan is going to share, or I can. I don't. It
Oh,
doesn't
you know
matter
what?
to
It
me.
says here I can make one presenter. I'm gonna make them both a presenter. Okay. I didn't know that. That's one of the things new about Teams. I'm learning it. I'm gonna make them both a presenter. They should be able to do everything.
Ah, there's Adam.
Okay.
Yay!
Waiting on Quran.
Waiting on the Quran.
Oh, let me let Quran back in.
Nah, don't let him in. He said he can hear us, but he can't see us yet.
Who, Quran?
Yeah.
I could have swore I just made him a presenter. Oh, I think I made his note taker a presenter. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, he uses his Otter AI. There he is right there. I see him, but we can't. He can't see us.
I made him a presenter. He can't turn anything on?
He said he's going to restart.
Yeah, still gonna restart and then I'll let him in and everyone else, thanks for joining. We're gonna get started here momentarily. Tonight you're gonna learn everything you need to know about the appraisal industry. Waiting for one more person to join us and we'll get started. I'll introduce everyone. The Quran log out and he's logging back in?
He said he's restarting right now. He'll be right back.
Okay.
And I don't mind sharing my screen if we want to.
You have the presentation as well?
I do.
Okay.
You want me to start it?
No, I wanted to introduce you guys first and
Okay.
then let you guys take it from there.
Gotcha.
All right, as soon as Quran gets here. And let him go. He comes back. Is he coming back?
He will. He always does.
Yeah. Might be restarting his computer.
Yeah.
Oh, he restarted his computer. Okay.
He and I are in the same office. If I have to, I'll go grab him and say, "Come on in here, and we'll just share a screen."
All right.
He engineered the slides, so
Okay, yeah. So we want him to be
he's kind of important to have here.
While he's doing that, I'm gonna turn everybody's mics on.
Great.
Everyone, I am turning your mics on and also turning your cameras on. If you want to turn your cameras on, I'm allowing the cameras.
It's always nice to talk to faces instead of little white
Hey, dogs.
outlines. So if you can
Would
turn your
love-
camera on, I always like that.
Yeah, me too. Would love to see you all.
Okay.
Otherwise, I feel like I'm talking to myself.
I'm turning them all on.
You don't have to, I understand, but it's always nice if you do.
I meant to do it when I created the event automatically. Okay, I think this is him. Here he is. I admit him, and then I'm gonna make him a presenter. Hold on. Brown, make him a presenter. Make a presenter. So he should be able to come on camera now.
You can hear me, right?
Yep,
Yes.
We can hear you.
Hey,
Hi.
hey,
Hey, how's it going?
going
Now it's
all right.
the camera that wants to cause me some problems, but hold on.
All
I'll
right.
get this one figured out. There we go. Just like that. Oh, half a second.
There
There
you
it
go.
is.
All right,
Hey,
hey,
There,
well,
everybody.
Karan.
Wow.
Woo-woo.
all right.
Ron, I
Wow.
was about to go grab you and drag you down to my office.
All right.
S-
So we
Somehow
started the
this fanfare
recording.
is bittersweet.
There are people here that are coming in. So I just want to get this thing started so we don't run out of time here. Take everybody's time up this evening. My name is Mark Parham. You guys are joining in an info session on the appraisal industry. We have an organization called RSDS here to kind of guide you through this. Along, I don't know, Julie, do you work with him? Julie number 2 or Julie 1 or Julie?
I'll be Julie number 2. Julie
All right,
B.
Julie 2. All right, Julie 2 is an experienced appraiser. She's joined us tonight to give her input. So I'll let each of you guys introduce yourselves and you can start sharing anytime you're ready.
Sweet. Well,
Right,
I'll go
KB,
ahead
you wanna
and
go
kick
first?
us. Yeah, I'll go ahead and kick us off here and just get into the presentation. And I think that from there, we'll have opportunity to really have a good conversation. So let me do show. All right.
Are you trying to share your screen?
Yeah, you guys let me know if you see this properly.
Oh, getting there.
Yep,
Yeah,
see it now.
Yes.
We're in here.
it's good.
As I move, did that go to another slide?
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
it
It
did.
went to
Sure
how to
did.
become a
Sometimes.
residential appraiser.
Yep, there we go. So again, thank you to everybody that's here. I see we've got 20 odd people in here, and you know, it only takes so many appraisers to make a difference each and every year. I think when RSDS first got started, we were celebrating to the high heavens when we graduated 5 appraisers in 1 year, and now we're at the point where it's 15, 20 appraisers, and some of the people in this room are really a big part of that. So as I go through the introductions, I'll give people their shout outs. But thank you all for being here. This is really near and dear to our heart. Both RSDS and Appraisal U, these are sister companies that really combine to create an appraisal experience, both for you as an individual that's looking to get into the industry, all the way into the point where you become licensed or certified and are looking for an opportunity of employment or maybe just to join in a community. So we love to give the information on how do you get started. There's a lot of ways, there's a lot of nuance, and there tend to be a lot of questions. So got some experts here that are going to be able to give you good advice because they've guided people through it. And some of us have, helped have a hand in making the rules that guide us through it. So that's a big deal. So just quick introductions. Myself, Karan Brown. I serve as the Senior Vice President of Operations at RSDS, and I help support Appraisal U as well. That's enough about me. No need for more fanfare, but I am always going to be a resource for anybody that's looking to learn more about how you get into the industry or wanting to get in touch with these two companies to learn about opportunities for yourself. More importantly, I'd like to introduce two of our brightest and best appraisers on the team, Adam Newsom and Julie Floyd. These are both the instructors for our Appraisal U course, which you'll hear about a little bit later, but also individuals that I think are invaluable resources on guiding any single person into whatever state you're in, whatever city you're in, whatever degree of appraisal you want to go into, whether that be residential or commercial. These people can help you get started and tell you how to get to a point where you can really control your own destiny. And I think that's a big point. Big shout out to Adam Newsom. Adam was actually my trainer back in the day. Adam helped me get to the finish line. And you'll see that throughout, any research you do on the appraisal profession, but also RSDS and Appraisal U themselves. We help people get to the finish line, and it's not always through completely joining our companies. A lot of the times it's through info sessions like this where we're giving you a little bit of the tips and tricks on how to kickstart. But all of it comes from success and having done it before and having seen people get there. So we're not blowing smoke. With that said, I will pass it on to Julie Floyd here so she can tell you a little bit more about the industry in depth. Julie, do you want to give your own introduction? Tell us all of the acronyms that are associated with your name and all your accomplishments. Sure. Give us a couple, please.
Well, let's scale it down. So, hello everyone. I'm Julie Floyd. I'm a certified general appraiser in, I think right now it's 7 states. I've been appraising since 1999. I'm an educator. I teach qualifying and continuing ed classes. And I also I have 2 roles here at RSDS. I am the Vice President of Regulatory Affairs for RSDS. So I help keep appraisers ready for changes in the profession, changes in the industry. And then I also, my passion project is I am technically the Dean of Appraisal U, which we'll talk about more in depth. It's our new practicum program. We've been working on it for quite some time. We launched it in June of 2025, and it's a new way to get your experience to get into the profession. I also do regulatory stuff. I currently serve on the Appraisal Qualifications Board, which is the board that sets the criteria for becoming an appraiser. So I am not here speaking on behalf of the AQB. I got to do that little disclaimer. But if you do have questions about regulatory aspects of the profession, reach out. My email's right here on the screen. I love talking about this profession. It's crazy. It's different. You never see the same thing twice. But I love it. I wouldn't do anything differently. So that's me in a nutshell. So Adam, introduce yourself.
I don't have that kind of intro. I don't have all the little acronyms after my name. I'll tell you that. But the reason I was selected to help run this program is because I've helped over 17 appraisers become licensed, both licensed and certified. We'll get into that, but certified is that next level after license, which is your boy Karan there did help him get his certification. So don't let him fool you. He does know what he's talking about. But you're definitely here to help any sort of training questions anyone has. I am here to help you guys out.
Julie, do you want to kick us off on how do you get going in the industry? How do you start?
Sure. To get into the appraisal profession, your first step is to become a trainee. You have to be a trainee in order to get your experience hours in order to become a licensed or certified appraiser. So how do you get that trainee license so you can get started? Right now, it's you got to be 18, you got to have a high school diploma or a GED to get started. So that's your first step. Then you have to take these courses, as we said here on the screen. They are offered through multiple education providers, the Appraisal Institute, McKissick, there's Champions, there's multiple schools that offer that education, but that gives you the basics. What appraising is, how to do it, what the rules are that govern us. We're governed by this little acronym right here that says USPAP. And just a side note, we use a lot of acronyms. If there's ever one you don't know what it means, by all means, put it in the chat, ask a question. What the heck does that mean? USPAP stands for the Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice. And that is basically, it's disrespectful to call it our Bible, but it is the document that governs us. It's kind of our, I would say it's our constitution. Let's go with that. So you have to take the course in what are the rules for being an appraiser. You got to take a course on bias and fair housing laws to be sure that you're staying in compliance there. A case study course that is specific to Georgia. And then no matter what state you're in, you have to take a course on what you should expect as a trainee. And your supervisor has to take that course as well. So everybody knows the rules for what it takes to be an appraiser and what it takes to supervise a trainee appraiser. And don't let Adam kid you and be modest about his experience. The dude is an amazing trainer, and I've watched him train actively, and it takes a special person to be able to train new appraisers. But you get your education from classes, and then you get your experience from a trainer, from Perea, we'll talk about that, or from practicum. There's 3 methods. Then your last step after you've taken these classes is to register through your state board. Now, there are some states that do not register trainees, but Georgia is one that does. So you'll register as a trainee. There's usually a small fee, but then they know, hey, you are in the market, you are being trained, and they can kind of keep track of you a little bit.
Yeah,
Move on
thanks,
to the next
Julie.
slide, if you would, Karan, or add as needed.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one point there, which is, Julie mentioned that, if your state does not always require you to have a training license, not every state does, but you should probably look into it. You should definitely look into it and understand what exactly that means. There's a lot of nuance to it, and you'll gain most of that knowledge from your supervisor, but you really want to do your research just to know. We've ran into situations where trainees have done everything up to this point, not gotten a training license because their supervisor didn't guide them to do so, and then not actually gain the experience that they needed. So that's something that you're going to want to visit your real estate commission, your real estate board in your state, visit their website and really read their bylaws and read what their expectations are so that you can make sure that you're gaining experience the proper way. We've talked a little bit about the supervisory model, so I want to segue for you, Julie, just to talk a little bit about just how many different ways you can gain experience, because it is not just limited to having a supervisor anymore.
Sure. Move on. There we go. So traditionally in this profession, you find a supervisor. And I always say that for many, many years, becoming an appraiser is like being royalty. You are born into it. And I believe that Adam comes from, what are you, 3rd generation
Yes, third generation.
appraiser?
Yeah.
I was trained by my brother. Many of us in this profession got into it because of family. Well, that's great, except what if you don't have family? What if you want to be an appraiser and you don't have a family member who's an appraiser? For many years, the supervisor trainee model was the only path. You had to find that person who was willing to take a chance on you. And over the years, the number of appraisers who were willing to supervise has dwindled to a point where we may have a very qualified applicant who's out there who has great brains, great skills. They can't find someone to train them. And I can't tell you how many of those messages, calls, emails I have fielded. I want to be an appraiser. I'm willing to dedicate the time and effort. I can't find somebody to say yes to me. And that is sad. That is not the way we need to continue our profession. So we developed a couple of alternative pathways. And I don't like to use the term alternative pathways because that's saying, that kind of gives the implication that they might be less than, and they are not. All three pathways are a completely valid way to get your experience hours. After you finish those classes and you register as a trainee, you have to do a set number of hours that are supervised in some way in order to qualify for your national exam to get your license. And you can get those, like I said, with the supervisor trainee model. That's a 1-to-1, or your supervisor may have a couple of trainees, but that's the traditional model. There also is what's called PAREA, which is right now the only provider of PAREA is the Appraisal Institute. It is a virtual program where you work with mentors, you do online education that is self-paced, and you are kind of trained in that virtual world. Then you have our favorite, which is the practicum. And the practicum model, when I'm explaining it to people, I say it's the best of both worlds. You have the good aspects of a supervisor and the good aspects of a standardized education model. The way it works is you do classroom hours. It may be virtual. I do it every morning, 8 to noon. We do our Zoom classes for Appraisal University. And then they also do what's called field trips. And we just call it that just because it's fun. But you are actually going out in the field with appraisers in your market. Right now in my program, we have appraisers from Kansas, Ohio, Washington, D.C., and Texas in our program. So we all come together in class virtually, and then they go out in the field with appraisers in their market. Not every day, but some days. So you're getting that experience of actually walking through a house, seeing, smelling what it's like to be an appraiser. You are actually working in the field. And then you have your course time. And in our courses, we do demonstrations, sample appraisal reports. I teach the first class, that's 101. Adam teaches the second class, we call that 201. I teach you kind of the why. I'm a lot of theory and that kind of stuff. And then Adam teaches you the how. He teaches you the execution piece. So add to that.
I think you nailed that pretty good. I do like how you say smell the homes too, because you definitely run into, and you see some things as an appraiser for sure.
Definitely. Ron, you want to move on to the next slide?
Ready? There we go.
Okay, look at these statistics. The average appraiser, 35% are over 55 and 31% more are over 65. So what does this say to us? Almost 70% of our appraisers are 55 and older. Now I still belong in the brown category there, right in the middle, the 45 to 54. And Karan, he's down there probably still in the blue. Adam, you're in the brown category with me.
I'm in the red. I'm barely
you're still in the red.
Barely hanging on to the red there. Yeah.
I'm in the purple.
You're in the purple.
I'm in the
No
program.
way.
I'm 55.
Oh, you lie.
There's nothing
No, I
wrong with
don't.
being
I'm
an
55.
experienced appraiser, but we're aging out. You know, we've got to, you can see this model shows we're not replacing our older appraisers with newer appraisers. And that's fine right now, but it's going to be a problem very soon. We need new blood. And not saying you got to be 25 to get into this profession, but we need to be replacing our appraisers who are retiring. And we're not doing a great job of that right now. We're just not. Mainly because we have a shortage of supervisors, but we've got to get it done. So this survey is from 2021, but it still holds true. And I can tell you, I teach continuing education courses that you have to take every couple of years to keep your license. And I may have a class of 80 people, and in that 80 people, I got maybe 2 or 3 people that are under the age of 50. That doesn't bode well. Now, mark your hands up. What do you got to share with us?
You're muted,
Can't hear
sir.
you.
Yeah, there you go.
Can you talk about the African American aspect of this whole?
That's the next
You're
slide.
jumping me.
That's the next slide, my friend.
Oh,
That
next
is the
slide. All
next
right,
slide.
sorry about that.
So,
And-
and this is a little, I don't know. There are some people who've been a little offended by this statement, but a great appraiser friend of mine, said something once in a public meeting, and he said the appraisal profession currently is pale, male, and stale, meaning the predominant number of appraisers in this industry are older white men. And absolutely, there were many classes that I was in or that I taught that we had very few women, predominantly older white men. And you can see, look at this statistic. This is from 2021, and we've made a little inroads into this demographic. But look at it. 77% white. We got to do better with that. We got to diversify this profession. And so one of the missions of the company we work for, RSDS, is to help make inroads into this, to bring people of color and women and younger people into this profession that we all love so much. So this slide is very telling, very telling. We have got to make our steps and to take action to make our appraiser population represent the people whose homes we are appraising. Adam, KB, you want to add to that?
I was just gonna say, so we can be as diverse as an appraiser group as, like you said, as the markets we serve. That's 100% fact.
Yeah, and I
Yep.
think just to continue to add on to it, in the last 4 years, really since 2021, our attention to bias in appraisal reports has only increased to a fever pitch. And you can see how easy it is to be biased or to not necessarily recognize bias the same way when you're not representing the demographics that you serve. And I think that that's just a big key. Is it's important for people as appraisers to know their market and know their community. But a big piece of that is it's hard to know if you aren't representative of it.
Yep,
Next slide, we say.
sure. Look at that. We got a lot of men in this
Male?
profession. 63.5% male. As I said, pale, male, stale. And no disrespect to our veteran appraisers. I don't mean it that way. And we do have a lot of people who come into this profession as a second career. My background is in education. I have a bachelor's and master's degree in education. I don't teach school anymore. I teach appraisers now, but this was my second career. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone into settings where I'm one of few, if not the only, female. And when I go out on inspections, I would get Oh, I was expecting a man. Well, I can do it too. You know, you don't have to be a man to be an appraiser. So this statistics, we got to do better with this too. We got to do better with diversifying our profession in age, in racial background, and in gender. And you can see these are some of our great appraisers. Look at these faces. These are people that have become licensed or certified through RSDS. And we're in the, have we hit 90 yet, graduates, Karan? What number are we at now?
Oh, I think we're near 103
Oh.
actually as
Oh,
of this
wow.
year.
We've
I
broken
might
100.
I might be overgassing us. Don't get me wrong, but we're really in that 98 to 103 range. I think that currently we have about 5 or 6 students that are or trainees that are in the process of their submission to the state. And Julia, one thing that I wanted to highlight for you here, you always deserve kudos for this, but I want to say at least 2 out of 3 of these students, I know Brianna and I think maybe Connor as well, when they were in the point where they were getting ready to take their exam and preparing to pass their licensure test, you were instrumental to helping them get across that. And I think that that's just shows the value of a community. You got to learn so much to become an appraiser, and at a certain point you got to pass that test. And a lot of that is predicated off of the resources that you used while you were training. How many questions did you ask and who did you get the answers from? So just continue to talk about our track record, but also how valuable it is to do it together. It can be very difficult when you do it by yourself.
I referenced that USPAP, our governing document. It tells us, it doesn't say this is how you appraise a house. It says here are the basic fundamental principles of what we do and why. And it's, for example, it doesn't tell you, it says things like, and this is an analogy, drive the speed limit, follow the speed limit. It doesn't tell you in a school zone, go 25, on a highway, go 70. It says it's your job as a driver to know the speed limit and follow it. Same thing applies in the appraisal profession. It's your job to know the rules that surround an appraisal you do. There isn't a manual that says this is how to do it. It says understand the recognized methods and techniques. And it also says do what your peers do. Well, if you work for a company like RSDS, we got hundreds of peers across the country. If you run into an appraisal situation you're struggling with, guess what? You reach out to your community and you say, I've got this issue. Has anyone ever seen this? And if somebody in your market hasn't ever seen it, somebody in our appraiser talk group has, and they will help give you guidance and help you understand how to handle things. I love these faces.
Absolutely.
Look at their young faces.
Segue.
So let's talk about Appraisal U. And we are blessed to work for a company, RSDS, and then also Appraisal U, who has a belief and a fundamental mission of bringing new blood to the profession. New diverse blood, new young blood, new females, all of those factors. So how are we doing that? We do the supervisor training model. As Adam said, he's trained 17 appraisers who are practicing now. Not a lot of people out there to do that. There's not enough supervisors out there. So we looked at the practicum program, and we're taking our standardized appraisal training and putting it into practice in Appraisal U. And we take a student from learning, doing your qualified ed, learning what appraisal means, learning how to do it, and get you across that finish line or to that finish line where all you got to do is pass your national exam and you can get to that license level. Adam, you want to add to that? Look at that, Adam, with one of his trainees, ASAP, who's an awesome certified appraiser.
No, he's awesome. Yeah.
Yep. So a practicum. It is one of, like I said, one of the 3 paths that is in the appraisal qualification criteria, which are the rules issued by the Appraisal Qualifications Board. So we have daily classes led by Adam and myself. You learn a lot about appraisal theory, you learn about technology, you learn the basics, and you write real appraisal reports. Their demonstration, you're not doing them for someone's mortgage or something like that, but you learn actually how to write those reports. And we have a group of students at the same time with your instructor. We call it a cohort. So right now we have 1 cohort with Adam and 1 cohort with me, and we'll be starting a new cohort soon as they move on and graduate. So here's how it goes. I talked a little bit about 101, 201. 101 is your basic course. 3 months, 12 weeks, you learn the basics. Non-complex appraisal assignments, you learn the basics. And right now, these are some of my awesome appraisal students. Miss Beverly is on the left there. She's in Columbus, Ohio with Frank, who's one of our RSDS appraisers. And on the right, you see Miss Roz and Michael, who are with DJ, who's on the right. He is one of our newly licensed appraisers in Dallas. And so he hasn't been appraising long enough to be a supervisor officially, but he has a lot of knowledge in the profession. So they spend the morning with me, and then some afternoons they go out on actual inspections with DJ or with whomever it might be in your specific market. We do non-complex. We're doing your basic appraisals. A ranch style home, maybe a 2-story here and there, maybe a split level here and there, but not a complex appraisal. We're doing the basics. You're learning a lot about why do we care about the market area? Why do we care about the comparable sales we may use in the appraisal report? What is a lender looking for? What is an appraisal and why do we do it? Then you move into 201, and Adam, I'll let you take it and talk about 201 and then your path to submission and licensing.
Do we even dive into what an appraiser is, or what do we do? Or we just kind of been high level this whole time, but I don't even know if, like, not everyone on this call even knows what an appraiser does, right?
That's
And
true.
so
That's true.
here we are trying to come up, what would you say? Maybe 80% of the appraisals out there are probably done for like a lender or a bank, but there's, and you will learn there's so many other avenues to go. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself to that, but let's just pretend a bank wants a value on a home so they can make a lending decision. Someone wants to borrow some money. Well, they want to know what that home's worth so they know how much to lend on that property. So that's where the appraiser is going to come in. We're going to come in and we are going to measure the house for what's called gross living area. We're going to take some photos. We're going to take some notes, and we'll just kind of keep this basic here. I won't, do a too deep dive. But we gather information at the house that then we can use back in the office to find other homes that are comparable to ours, find out how the market reacts to the differences in like garage count or bedrooms or square footage. And then we come up with what's called an opinion of value. And then the bank can use that information to then proceed with a loan or not. And so not every house is the same. When you get to 201, it's going to be a little more complex. You're going to do things that are maybe like a condo. You're going to do something what's called a multifamily, which would be 2 to 4 units under one roof or on one parcel. And so there's kind of different things we look at when you get to that intermediate level of learning. But you get another 500 hours. We're going to do more reports in 201. It does take the same 3 months to complete. But you really get your hands dirty, deep diving into some more complex situations.
So Adam, do you want to talk about what you do after you finish your courses?
Yeah, you're going to take all that information. You're going to get a certificate from us. And then you're going to have a log from us. You're going to have some other supervisor stuff that we fill out for you. And then you submit all of that off to your state board. And then the state board's going to review that information. And then they're going to ask to review a couple of samples that you wrote in class, just to make sure that you are know what you're doing. And so then they ask for those two, you submit those reports, and then the board will meet. They'll review those two reports, and if they like them, they'll approve you to sit for your test. And then once you pass your test, that's when you become a licensed appraiser. So it's not just completing the program. It's not just saying, hey, your reports look fantastic. The last piece of it is passing that national exam. So no matter what state you're in, these national exams going to look pretty similar. And so once you do that, then you're good to go. Then it just takes a few days, right? Once you pass your test to get rocking. And then you can apply for reciprocity, which is pretty cool. So say you are in Atlanta, but you'd like to move to Florida. So say you have, your license and Florida recognizes that same license you have in Atlanta. And you're like, I got family down in Orlando. I want to move. That's great. You just file for that reciprocity. And most states have to accept that. I'm sure there's some difference, some exceptions, if you will. And maybe Julie can dive into that, but more or less, they're going to accept you as long as you're in good standing. And so then you can move. You're not stuck in the one state that you have a license in. You can file for that reciprocity and move around the country as you see fit. I've talked to appraisers where they live up north in the winter and then they go down and live down south in the winter. And that's fine too. It doesn't mean you have to always work, 12 months out of the year up in Fargo, North Dakota. You can move down to Phoenix, when it gets cold and snowy, you can do that. So there's a lot of options as an appraiser. You're not stuck in the one market that you trained in.
Mark, I see your hands up.
Well, I'm just commenting that in the chat, someone asked, our class is only offered in the morning.
Right now, we are only offering our classes from 8 to noon. We are looking at 8 to noon Central. We're looking at some other options. That'll depend on our demand. Really will. But right now, they're from 8 to noon, Monday through Thursday, 12-week sessions. And I'll add on that reciprocity discussion, your credential is for a state, is a state specific, but like Adam said, you can apply to another state for reciprocity. I got my first license in Missouri. I've reciprocated to Kansas, Ohio, Texas, Michigan, Wisconsin, Virginia. And I can't remember, there's another one. Did I say Wisconsin?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember. There's 7. There's 7 in there. And some states may have, like Florida has an extra Florida law class that you have to take. So you understand those state specific nuances. But the majority, you don't have to start over with your education and things like that if you want to move from state to state. It is a pretty portable kind of license.
And I would also add, I think that when it comes to reciprocity, it's interesting. Julie, you can probably speak to this a little bit, but there are certain careers in appraisal that require you to have a license in more than one state. Like, for example, if you're a general appraiser, then you're more likely to travel across the intercontinental United States because the contiguous, that's the word I meant to say, contiguous United States, because of, just the types of properties that you're appraising and how far apart they are. Also, I think if you review appraisals, there are reviewers that will have multiple licenses in certain states because certain states will require you to have a license there in order to complete reviews. So that's not really dived into this, but I can imagine, a second, type of info session where we talk about all the various careers once post licensure. I think that there's quite a few that people don't know. So.
And real quick, we didn't touch on the different levels of licensure. Um, the first level is license. You are a licensed appraiser. And some states don't have this category. Georgia does, Missouri does, Kansas, most states do, but there are some like Florida does not. That is your basic level. You can get into that with 1,000 hours of experience and one, depending on the state you're in, 6 months to a year. Most states it's 6 months. At that level, you're appraising what we call non-complex transactions. If it's a super complex property, it probably needs to be done by a higher credential. And then there's certain states have certain restrictions on what a licensed appraiser can appraise and what they can't. Then you go up to the next level, which is certified appraiser. You can appraise any residential property up to 4 units. You can't go over 4 units, but so a fourplex, triplex, duplex, single family can be done by the certified residential. And the certified residential appraiser also can train. You can train new appraisers. Then there's the certified general, which is the credential that I have, and I can appraise anything. Now, am I competent to appraise everything? Not necessarily, but I can get that. I can appraise commercial properties, residential properties of any type. There are appraisers out there who specialize in nothing but appraising golf courses. So of course they would need licenses in many states because I may need to go to Arizona to appraise a golf course. I had a friend who that was his goal in this profession, was to be a golf course appraiser, because then he would have to play them all. But that doesn't always work out. So there's licensed, certified, and certified general.
And then, between the two Julies and Adam, I think that we can probably talk for a few minutes about why access to the industry matters, and what it means for any of the individuals here that might be interested or wondering, why would I want to get into the appraisal industry? Can the three of you, and I'll go on a diatribe if I have to, but can the three of you maybe talk a little bit about the opportunity for someone that is trying to get into the industry today? If they're able to get in, I know we've talked a lot about the demographics and the lack of access, but once you get through that threshold, what lies in store for you?
Julie Borden, would you like to take that one?
Sure. For those of you that don't know me, I didn't introduce myself. I'm a certified residential appraiser. I'm currently in North Carolina. I'm allowed to appraise in North Carolina. I don't have multiple licenses like Julie Floyd. But to answer the question, what's the advantage of having this license? I started appraising in 1997. And I tell people in this day and age, you need 3 sources of income to be able to make ends meet. You need your primary gig, you need a side gig, and then you need a residual income, money that you don't really have to work that comes in, right? Well, in the course of my career, this license has been my side gig while I was in college, and I would do it on the weekends. Then as life moved on and I had a kid and he's in travel soccer, and I wanted to do everything with my son, go to lunches in the middle of the school day, it became my primary gig. When I work for myself, I'm allowed to make my schedule to fit whatever it is that I want to do. That's good and bad, but the advantages of having this license, I think it was also pointed out earlier, is that you're not stuck to just one state. You have a license in multiple states. You can appraise in the wintertime in the southern states, and then when it gets too hot down there, you can go up north and appraise in a different state. There are just so many things that you can do when you work for yourself and you have this license. You can, and God forbid this ever happen, but if I'm no longer able to go out and physically measure the house, I can make money as an appraiser right here at my desk and never leave my house. I could be a review appraiser and just use my brain. So if my body's no longer able to, right? Um, that, provides a little bit of job security, and life gets in the way. You never know what's going to happen. You get fired. If I worked for a company like Apple or Amazon and I got fired, at least I would have my appraisal license as a backup that I could still generate some income, because we all know that the bills don't stop. So that's just the first few things that popped off the top of my head. I'm going to stop talking there and let somebody else add into that.
Mark, Mark, I see your hands up.
There's another question in the chat. What's the average cost for the Appraisal U program tuition?
Yeah, I'll take that. So the cost for each course is $6,000. $6,000 per course, so 12,000 for the entire 1,000 experience hours in 6 months. So that's a whole cost for the course. There are scholarship opportunities that Adam and I would love to talk to individuals who apply about. So there's going to be an opportunity here for you to take down our contact information, as well as see the link to visit our website. But we encourage individuals to apply so that we can kind of guide you on the best way for you to get into the program.
Go ahead, Julie.
I have my hand up because I wanted to add to that. I do a similar presentation like this to educate people on the appraisal industry, how to get in, what your options are, how much it costs. And one of the things I like to point out, and I do promote the RSDS practicum program as part of my presentation in North Carolina. But one of the things that I purposely like to point out is that for some people, $6,000 or $12,000 total sounds like a lot, and it is. But if you compare that to a college degree and a college education, there are so many people that go to college and they're spending $12,000 in a semester. It's $24,000 a year, and that's only 1 year. And then after 4 years, you spend 24,000. You're looking at almost $100,000 right there just for a college education with no guarantees of a job. At least with this program, finding a way to find that money, and they offer scholarships. $12,000 is really not a lot. And I'm not trying to, plug RSDS. They did not pay me to say this. I'm an appraiser, and this is reality and realistic. It's just food for thought, something to think about.
Yeah, thanks for that, Julie. I think that one thing that I'll say is that myself, as well as this team, we're never going to try and lead you to make a poor financial decision just to pay us to join the program. We're always very conscious of the costs that's associated with it. And really what I always say is we want to provide the information to you, provide the space, and see if we can make it work. But there are several different pathways to get into the industry. So, we really want to give you the advice that best fits your situation. Not all of them cost a lot of money, but some are much harder in order to get through that door. So whereas this opportunity does cost money, it does come with a degree of assurance that an organization is curating an experience for you to get in, versus I think that the supervisory training model is less expensive overall, but also, I think all of us can speak to supervisors or relationships where we've seen where you join somebody, you were tied to them to get to the finish line, and it didn't work out the way that you planned. So I'm blessed that I had Adam, and Adam stuck by me, but that's not always the case. So that, I think, is the biggest key, is what matters about this opportunity is that it is expanding pathways and expanding access so that you're not stuck going down one road that maybe is blocked for you because of where you are and the people that, are maybe unwilling to help you. Whereas for us, even if you don't pay me, I'm going to try and give you some tips so that you can continue to go down your road. But we definitely think that this is a really great pathway for you to know once you start classes with us 6 months down the road, you are going to be able, if you've passed everything and you attended class, I mean, we're just like a school in that sense. You got to go to class, you got to complete your assignments, but If you get a passing grade, then you're going to be able to submit to the state. And that's a lot more than, I think hundreds of people are having the experience right now. Go ahead, Mark.
What is the salary potential for new appraisers?
Adam, I think you should take this one because you're good. You're good
Yeah.
at this discussion.
If you,
And let's
yeah,
face it, we're all here to make money. We're
That's
not here
true.
just for our health.
if you follow me on LinkedIn at all, I'll lay it out for you. I'm no stranger to that. But there literally is no ceiling. There really isn't. My favorite part about being an appraiser is you can work as hard or as little as you want. But the more you work, the more assignments you take, the more you do get paid. It's not like a boss is going to walk in and drop 20 assignments on your desk and you're getting paid the same hourly rate. And so what you do is you become efficient with your time, you become efficient with your practice, and then you can get the time it takes to create a very good, a high quality appraisal down. And then you can add more then to your weekly opportunities that you take as far as many reports as you want to take that week. So yes, I always preach that you can make six figures doing this. I've seen as much as $300,000. If you're a general appraiser, you could probably make even more depending on how specialized you want to become. But you could probably turn it into $500,000 on the general side. That probably would require a lot of traveling and you'd work your way up to that. But as far as the residential side, I would think the floor would be 75, and then I would think the ceiling would be upwards of 300,000. Now I would say the average appraiser, do we have the statistics on that? I think the average appraiser makes like 120 to 150, I think. Don't hold me to that, but I think it's somewhere in that realm. Yeah, go ahead, Julie.
I wanted to just add to that. Yes, everything that Adam said is true. But the key question that this person asked was potential for new appraisers. When you're first starting out, you're not likely to make six figures. It really all depends on the situation that you're in. So and who you're working with. As soon as you finish your classes and as soon as you finish your training, you get your license and you're ready to go start, you may or may not feel comfortable to start your own business. If you're not a good entrepreneur and know how to run a business, that's going to be really hard for you to learn how to run an appraisal business to gain those clients. And that's if you're working for yourself. If you work for someone, they might want a percentage split. So if you're brand new and you work for a company, they might say, okay, because you're starting out and I really need to hold your hand, we're going to do your commission split at maybe 50%. And then as you gain more experience and that person you work for doesn't have to hold your hand as much, maybe it goes up to as much as 75, 80, or 90%. That's if you choose to work for an appraisal firm. What Adam was talking about is you working for yourself. Work for yourself, you get 100% of everything that you put in, but if you don't put in the work, it's not coming. And so it really is all dependent upon you.
One of the things that's really important to remember is if you're self-employed, you've got to learn how to run your business, but you've also got to have that self-motivation. Adam's out in the snow, in the rain, in 100+ degree heat. There are times when it's not easy, and there are times when you have to work when the work is there. When rates were low, we had appraisals hand over fist. Things have slowed down some, but when the assignments come in, you got to be ready to do them. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to do one this week and I'm going to wait to do it till Thursday. You have clients that have needs, typically they want them as fast as can be. And you got to do the work when the work's there.
Agreed.
Self-motivation.
Self-motivation.
Yep. I just did a quick chat GPT. The U.S. Department of Labor says new appraisers average 60,000-ish.
Okay.
As you get the overall average of appraisers in the profession is over $100,000.
Okay. Yeah, no, I
So,
can see
you
that.
know, it really, it varies. You know, say you work for an assessor's office, working in assessment is a stable career. You know, what do they say? Things are consistent, death and taxes. You're always going to have property taxes. That kind of position may pay a lower salary, but it'll have really good benefits. So, you know, you can weigh the pros and cons of all those different kinds of positions. And that could be a whole nother webinar on the different
Yeah,
professional
Mhm.
options.
Yes.
Yep.
100%. 100%.
Oh,
Absolutely. To give you all a realistic idea, I do work for myself. I own my own company. I am a certified residential appraiser, and I work as much as I want to. I mean, when I was, really hustling, my ex-husband and we made easily $100,000 a year every year consistently. But when the interest rates were horrible, I give this example all the time. There was, and again, this is me working for ourselves. There was 1 month we needed a minimum of 20 appraisals a month to be able to pay all of our bills. There was 1 month, and I think this was like when the economy crashed, we had 7.
Right.
So we were 13 short. However, that same year, that was January. In August, we did 80. So we went from way, way down to way, way up. So when you work for yourself and you're in your own business and you're an entrepreneur, you really need to be a good financial planner. You need to pay attention to the details of when the work comes, how much you have in what month, and watch those routines so that when you're up and you've got 4 times the amount of work that you had in January, you squirrel some of that money away to save for those slower January months. But there you go. Reality check.
hey,
Yep.
that was some very insightful information there, Julie. I think that that's one of the main things that I've learned from talking to so many appraisers at RSDS is, those are some of the tips to succeeding is understanding that there are going to be ups and downs in the industry. It's real estate. So that's just natural. How do you roll with it so that when you're high, you're not spending everything as soon as you make it. You're preparing for, those winter months. So um, as we, just in the interest of time here, I know that everybody has joined this for good information. I appreciate all your time. I do want to wrap up here just by talking about ways to apply to Appraisal U, to get the opportunity to speak more personally. Adam and I do, one-on-one, two-on-one calls where we talk to each candidate about their specific situation and how we might proceed if they want to join Appraisal U. Now, some of what we talk about, we've already covered here. So I would advise anyone that's interested in becoming an appraiser and really wants to start going down that path of either the practicum model, finding a supervisor, or going through PREA, you need to begin your coursework. So we went over previously the requirements to become a trainee. The requirements to join Appraisal U are almost exactly identical. The only difference is that for Appraisal U, we don't require that one Georgia specific course. We will ask you to do it later, but not all of you are from Georgia, I assume. So the situation will be different depending on what state you're applying from. So that'll be a big part of that conversation. But I invite you all to visit our website, rsdsllc.com/appraisal U. There will be even more information for you there. Once you apply, we'll ask some questions to understand your situation and then get back to you and try and get on a call.
Absolutely. We love talking about it if you can't tell. So reach out to
Yep.
us. Reach out to us.
From there,
love
go ahead.
I love talking about it too. I'm not able to put my contact information in the chat. So, but if anybody wanted to get a hold of me, Julie Floyd and Mark Parham, actually all the RSDS team and Mark have my contact information, and I'd be glad to answer any questions or be a resource, however, whenever.
We have
Someone
a
has
hand
their
up.
hand raised.
Yeah.
Deidre
Yeah,
Henley.
Deidre has her hand up.
We got a couple of hands.
Yeah, you should be able to unmute, Deidre.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Um, I'm glad to have joined your meeting today. I do understand everything that you guys mentioned. I am an appraiser, licensed appraiser, and I am on my way. I am second generation. This is a second career for me, but I am on my way to certification, and I'm so glad to see that there's something happening here in Georgia, and when I'm able to, I would like to do the same thing, try to reach out and help others. It is a big struggle to get through, but I'm glad to have joined, and I'm glad to hear what you guys are doing. I would like to get some contact information just for, as again, as it being a new field, just for questions and, about running into this and that, but I am self-employed and I am an entrepreneur, so I am running my own business. I do appreciate my freedom, my
Yeah.
And
independence.
Miss Deidre, I actually just looked you up on LinkedIn and I sent you a request to connect. So
Okay,
follow that. I'm telling you, if you follow Adam, Adam posts amazing stuff about Appraisal U and appraising in general. So follow me, follow Adam, and connect with us through that.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And it
We have
looks like
another hand up.
Chandra.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
Hi, yes, you said it right. Thank you. I just wanted to know, so I am in another education school. I'm in a different appraisal school. I wanted to know if you guys have any information regarding how we can find a supervisor, even if we're not enrolled in your school. I'm enrolled in the Appraisal Institute.
That's a
Uh,
tough situation. It's hard to
Okay.
find a supervisor. Julie, do you have a thought process
I,
there?
I was going to suggest, um, uh, depending on what state you're in, look for the appraisal professional organizations.
Okay.
The Appraisal Institute has a group in whatever state that you're in. I'm in North Carolina. There's the Black Real Estate Appraisers Coalition of North Carolina, and there's NCPAC and NCREAA. We have all these different appraisal organizations where appraisers meet, sometimes in person, and they get together and they talk, and that's where all the trainees that I know that have actually found a supervisor, they found their supervisor through that organization.
Okay.
So what state are you in?
I'm in Georgia.
Okay. I don't know if Mark or anybody knows if there's a organization, appraiser organization in Georgia, but I would look for that.
Yeah, I am not sure. I think there is. I'll put my information in the chat too, and you can email me and I can do some research for you.
You
Okay.
can you can search your county. You can search by county. If you go to the state, most state boards will you can search by county. Or I don't think you can search by city, but you can search by county where someone is certified. So you can reach out to all the certified appraisers that are in a specific county or search, the 4 or 8 county area that you're in. And you just gonna have to reach out to each one of them individually.
Yeah.
Some states like Arizona, I don't know about Georgia, but I did spend some time in Phoenix training, and they make you post if you're willing to be a supervisor appraiser. You take a class, and then they have that information. They have a giant spreadsheet of all the certified appraisers in the state of Arizona that have completed the class and are so then thus willing to train new trainees. I would imagine some other states have some different resources on their state boards as well. So you could reach out to your state board and see if they have any information on those willing to, who've shared their information that they're willing to train.
And I put in the chat, there's a great Facebook group. If you do social media, there's a great Facebook group called Appraiser Trainees Learning Together. That was started by a new appraiser from North Carolina. And it has some great resources for people who are either interested in the profession, who are getting in and are new, or maybe looking for supervisors. That's a great resource group. Very positive. Listen, social media can get ugly. We all know that. And appraisers are no exception there, but the trainee group stays very positive and is very helpful.
Okay, thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
What
glad to
about
have you.
what about approaching the appraisal management companies that are in Atlanta? Is that an option? You know,
To finding a supervisor?
yeah.
It's possible.
No, not really. Okay.
Yeah, a
There
small
are gonna be a
percentage.
couple,
There's probably
but
not a lot of them, but
yeah.
I mean, let's just face it, if you are looking for that dedicated one-to-one supervisor,
Gotcha.
you're gonna hear no probably
Okay.
100 times before you hear yes.
Okay.
So I'm
Stay
not,
persistent. Yeah, stay
I'm not gonna
persistent.
shine it up. You are going to reach out to many appraisers who say, not interested in training, and that's okay.
Go to
It's
your-
better to find that 101 person you ask who is a good supervisor, who is an Adam Newsom in Atlanta, who is going to give you a good quality training experience.
Yeah, see if there's like a local chapter. I'm sure there's a local chapter of the Appraisal Institute, and they meet like once a quarter or something, and you could go and meet other appraisers that way. Just find, aren't there like conferences and things you can go to
Sure.
as well where you can run into people?
Yeah, I was actually just in Atlanta for a conference in October
Yeah.
of appraiser officials. Yep.
My last point on that, Chandra, is I'm not sure if you've actually completed or began all of your qualifying education, but if you have not, I would, and I always advise people to look into applying for a scholarship through the Appraisal Development Initiative. The Appraisal Development Initiative does provide scholarships to interested trainees to complete the QE that gets them to their trainee license. And from there, they will also scholarship those individuals to go through the various means, whether it be the PREA or the practicum. They also will pair you up, well, not pair you, but they'll just be another sounding board of your name to appraisers that have indicated to the Appraiser Development Initiative that they would be interested in being a supervisor. So I do know several people, we've probably had at RSDS about a dozen Appraisal Development Initiative trainees that have got to the finish line through us, and that was them facilitating that. And then for Appraisal U as well, they're currently sponsoring about 4 students. So that's one of the main scholarship opportunities that if you applied, I would tell you about is, if you go through ADI and get to a specific point, then they'll tell us, hey, we'd like to scholarship this individual to go through your program. There are several ways. I think that just hitting on what everyone said, you're going to have to try and attack all of them, especially if you're committed to the supervisory trainee model itself. You're going to need to find someone that's willing to train you, and then you're also going to need to investigate to make sure that they run a good business. There's nothing worse than apprenticing yourself to someone that is out of compliance and doesn't do things the right way, and doesn't necessarily care to teach you everything that they know. And that happens more often than you think, especially when you're trying to judge the individual.
You're spending a lot of time with that supervisor, so it's important that your learning styles mesh and that you get along.
Yeah.
And I'd like to add to that because we're dealing with those supervisors that you're looking for are probably my age or older, they may or may not be up on the latest technology. And this appraisal industry is changing very fast this year, particularly. And so if they're not keeping up with these new changes, they may not be educating you on what you need to know to be successful and in this industry. So you definitely want to take your time to interview those potential supervisors if you were able to find someone who's thinking about taking on a trainee.
Could I share? Someone shared with me early on. It's a really cool idea. is you could pitch somebody, hey, you're going to retire in the next year or two. Why don't I come? You train me, and then I'll take over your practice. I'll purchase your practice from you and then give you some sort of residual or something like that. So there's always an option there too, where you could pitch someone and say, hey, if you're going to be retiring soon, why just let all those clients walk away and all that business? Let me, take over, and I can give you some sort of residual on the back end of all the orders that now you're guaranteed to have when you take over. So that's always an option too.
Absolutely.
So with that said, Mark, I think we want to close here. My last point that I do want to make is just here on the screen, we are taking applicants for our April cohort. I did see a question in the chat that was asking, is the scholarship application separate? It is not. Once you've applied, we're really going to try and figure out what bucket you fit into. There are a lot of ways to join our practicum and several scholarship options. They're not all up to us. Appraisal U in and of itself does not scholarship students, but RSDS as an affiliate company, ADI as an affiliate organization do provide scholarships. And so our role is to recommend individuals for consideration for those. So there will be a couple rounds of interviews where we get to know you, where you're at and where you're headed to make sure you're the best fit for ourselves and our organization. Obviously, if you say that you're paying with cash, then we're not going to ask too many questions. We're just going to bring you into the program. But those scholarship opportunities are pretty varied by cohort, depending on the needs of the companies and organizations that are willing to give them. So I don't have a direct number of how many scholarships we'll offer in the April cohort, but I will let you know that we have individuals that applied in September of this year that are going to be a part of the April cohort, and we've had 2 cohorts in between. So we're very happy to wait for the best fit for a candidate, help guide them through that process, and then when they're ready, bring them on into the program. So thank you, everybody, for your time. Mark, I'll go ahead and yield to you.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys. I mean, every time I sit through one of these things, I learn something else. I feel like I may need to get out there.
Come on,
Hey,
bring your
come on
tape
in.
But I tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to pull down a list of everybody that attended this and make sure you get this information so you can reach out to everybody directly.
All right.
Even the people that didn't show up, they didn't show up, but their AI bots did. When I kicked them out. But anyway, I'm going to make sure you have direct communication with all the people because I think this is an important issue. And I think that it takes some time to get into it. It's not, a lot of times when we first started this process a couple of years ago, everybody thought it was like getting a real estate license. Go to a class for 2 weeks and hey, I'm selling houses.
Yeah,
but
not quite.
That's when people first started coming to me and they wanted to be in the industry. I said, no, it takes a little longer than that. A lot of people backed away. So I'm finding a lot of real estate professionals that are already in the industry are now turning, to things like what you're talking about. So when they have downtime, they can do something else. So
And
I want to thank all of you for taking the time this evening to come out and impart all this knowledge on us. And I think we're going to work pretty good together. We're getting ready to go into 2026 and we see what we got going on. I'm going to try my best to get as many people to apply for your program as possible, because I just think it's important, especially, as Julie said, $12,000, for, I don't know, I mean, 6 months, boom, I'm making more money. I don't know, it's an investment, especially I think a lot of the real estate professionals can afford, they sell a couple of homes, they give a, they can afford to do this. But I think really it's the time commitment.
right. And we do have some options where you can pay in installments. It's not
Okay.
like here's a check for 12 grand on day one. We do have the ability to work with you.
Absolutely. And to what, Mark, I think when you talk about time commitment, all of the various models do require time. but they just have different levels of flexibility and, guarantees associated with them. Ours is a class that requires you to be available for 4 hours Monday through Thursday. But with that, we're also always going to be available Monday through Thursday and often more often. So we're not running another business on the side. We don't have individual interests that delay us dedicating to your training. And so, Julie, it's insane. I'm down the hall from her. Every time I try and go to her office, she's on the call with a student, right? And it's out of class hours, in class hours, she's available. So, if any of you have considered going back to school, I think that this is a worthy alternative to that honestly costs less.
I think that's
Agreed.
right. And so I want to thank all you guys, Julie too. I thank you for giving the part of your
Thank you,
wisdom
Julie.
on us too. And
Thank you for having me.
I'm gonna pull the recording down when it finishes and make sure even the people that didn't attend tonight get a copy of the recording so they can get all this information. Life happens. People sign up for things and hey, I can't make it.
Right.
So but I don't want them to miss out on this information. So once again, I want to thank you all. And Mr. Brown, I look forward to getting together with you in the future. Next time you're in the A,
Yep.
come on down.
After that first visit, I'm gonna drop in on you soon, brother. It was a great time. You guys take care. Look forward to seeing you
All
again.
right.
All right,
Thank
thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Now.